turning the radio off, yeah?
Bloody cameras everywhere. Jesus. Good ale. Sing clap, Joe style. Yay! Right, hi guys, it's Pete from Petrolhead Tours. I am in a black G87 M2, the new one, 460 horsepower, massive front and rear tyres, basically a smaller M3/M4. It's about the same height, about the same width, I think about 9-ish, 10-ish inches shorter than an M3 or M4. It's almost the same weight as a two-wheel drive M3, which is slightly alarming. But it's a very nice place to be, it's a very nice place to sit. The cabin's familiar to anyone who's driven a BMW in the last few years. I'm sorry if I'm distracted, every now and then I see a Morgan go past. There's some sort of classic rally or something going on. It's very nice. In comfort, it's comfortable. In sport, you can tell it's that much stiffer. I'd say there's less steering feedback than the M2 Comp that obviously I'm very familiar with from using them as tour cars. The steering's quite light in this, and then when you put it into sport, it's slightly less light, but there's still not as much feedback as I'd like. But you can clearly tell the front end is absolutely nailed on. There's so much grip. The turn in is crisp and precise. It's very nice. If you leave it in efficient, the engine's quite muted. But if you put it into Sport or Sport Plus, it makes a nice noise. This one hasn't had a running in service yet, so I'm being gentle with it. Not exceeding, I think, 4,500 RPM. But even below 4,500 RPM, when you lift off on the overrun, you get nice sort of pops and crackles and things. It sounds really good. It's very nice. I will say, compared to the M2 Comp, it feels huge. It feels massive. I feel like I'm sat higher up because the car's higher up, not because my seating position is higher up necessarily. The bonnet also feels very high, like almost SUV high in comparison with the M2 Comp. I'm looking in the rearview mirrors because it feels like a wired car, and it is, but the first thing that strikes you in the rearview mirrors, and I mean this car's black, so I don't know if that actually helps or reduces the impact, but the rear arches on this thing are flat. Bear in mind, last season, 2022 season, myself and Dan were running M240i X-Drive tour cars, the G87 and I mean that looks like it's got sort of, you know, nice blistered arches anyway, and a very nice car, and, you know, great as a daily driver. X-Drive, B58, very comfortable, quick, economical. For our use, tour use, it was just a little heavy, and it rolled a bit much, and so you pay the price of tyre wear and so on. I don't think that's going to be an issue with this car. This car is stiff, really stiff. Definitely stiffer than the M2 Comp, but it doesn't feel like it's less comfortable than the M2 Comp. If anything, it feels like it's more comfortable, even with the dampers in sport. Visibility is obviously very good. Plenty of space in here for 4 people. There's no option for a 5th seat. There's a little tray in the back there. It does have a few things that are slightly irritating. So, for example, there's a speed limit thing on here. That basically every time you turn the car on, it activates. And so if you exceed the speed limit, like a 31 and a 30, it bongs at you incessantly. So I don't know what it would do. I mean, certainly in my daily driver, which is an i4, there are times when I will go past a side road, which is a 40 limit. And even though I'm on a 60 limit road, my car thinks I'm on a 40 limit road. So in this car, if that happened, I guess it would bong at you incessantly because it thought you were doing 60 and a 40, which would be quite frustrating. Anyway, other than that, there's carbon on the steering wheel, there's lovely carbon paddles, there's carbon on the roof, which is quite a departure from the M2 Comp, the old M2 Comp. and it just feels like a very nice car to drive. There's clearly loads of power here, obviously, because it's not had its running in service yet. I'm nowhere near the top end of the rev range, but I mean, even a squirt from sort of 3 to 4,500 RPM, it feels properly fast. I know they say it's 460 horsepower, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's dynoing it more than that. And it sounds great, actually. It really does make a nice noise. Better than the M2 Comp. Yeah, I'd say so. I think in every respect, this feels better than the M2 Comp. It feels faster already. The steering's got loads and loads of grip. I'm not concerned about that at all. It'll be very interesting to see what it's like in the wet, but I suspect it'll be very good in the wet. Only criticism really from that perspective is the slight lack of steering feedback, and that's coming from an M2 Comp, which isn't exactly the last word in steering feedback anyway. But yeah, there's no question that I trust the front end on this car. It feels really pointy. What else can I say? Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I'd say is that it does feel big. I don't think it's one of those things where it feels like the car shrinks around you. There are certain cars that definitely have that effect. I spent a very memorable day in an F12 a couple of years ago, and that car was quite intimidating because of the power and the 9,000 RPM V12 and so on. But the harder you push that car, the more it definitely felt like it shrunk around you, and it became less intimidating. This car isn't intimidating at all, but you're just very aware of the width. It's really nice to look in those rearview mirrors and see the big fat blistered arches, but there's not a lot of room between that white line and that blistered arch and this white line and this blistered arch. And this is a typical, I don't even know if this is an A road or B road. I think it's a B road. This is a fairly typical British B road. And yeah, it just feels like a big car. Obviously the weight would bear that out as well, because I think this is something like 40 kilos lighter than a two-wheel drive M3, which is itself pushing, I don't know, 1.8 tons, something like that. Certainly in the 1.7 something range. But again, to drive, it doesn't feel like a heavy car. I'm not necessarily sure it feels any lighter than an M2 Comp. The controls certainly feel lighter. It's eager. Yeah, it's just a nice place to be. I'm not sure what else to say, Dale. Oh, I could say that we're getting some. So Dan and I are actually running, so this is the 2023 season we're in the middle of at the moment. This is July 23 as we're filming this. Dan and I are currently running M2 comps that we picked up earlier this year as our tour cars for this season, because we preferred them for tour use to the G87 M240i's. Now I will say that we do have 2 new M2s on order from Andrew Barker at Dick Lovett BMW Hungerford. Thanks, Andy. So we're expecting to take delivery of those back end of this year, or possibly the first month or two of next year. So they'll certainly be PPF'd and ceramicked and so on, ready for next tour season, which starts in April 24. Having now driven this a little bit, I'm actually looking forward more to having our new tour cars for next season, because this is effectively my first drive of the new M2. I haven't even driven the demo car yet. Hopefully I will get another chance to drive a new M2 before ours arrive, and one that has had the running in service done, so I can actually push on a bit more and see how it goes. But as a first impressions, with the fact that this hasn't had the running in service yet, and so I'm severely limited on how far I can go with the revs. It's lovely. It's a very impressive car. This will be very popular. I know the looks are quite polarising. I'm not a massive fan of the front and rear bumpers. They just feel almost unfinished. But again, come the LCI, I cycle impulse when that happens, the facelift. Hopefully BMW will do something about that. But if you ignore the aesthetics, which obviously are subjective anyway, and as a tool to do a job, it's a fantastic piece of kit. And here we are back at Boho. What's the plan then? Am I leaving this here?
You done filming?
Yeah, done. I stopped and then I was like, there must be more. So then I came up with some more stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping you've got enough now. Do you want me to pass you?
Yeah, you can do it.